Actually, I want to say page 95 of chapter 3. Mercantile system or mercantilism is a phrase that was first coined, used by a guy named Adam Smith in 1776, the same year of the Declaration of Independence, in the same year that Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense. He wrote this thing called The Wealth of Nations, and he discusses this thing called the mercantile system. It means commerce, trade, exchanging goods, like merchant, right? Like a merchant, mercantile. So the mercantile system or mercantilism is basically this idea of commerce, but centered around colonial territory, right? You have a country, England. Let's just stick with England for now. A mother country, right? The mother country. The idea that there's a mother country, England, and it has colonial territory, right? Across the Atlantic Ocean, it has 13 colonies. It ends up having 13 colonies in what have become the United States, but it also ends up with Belize, Nova Scotia. I talked about this, all these different parts of Canada, parts of some parts of Latin America, Jamaica, and Barbados, which are really the most profitable colonies that England has because of the sugar plantation. Yes.
Is that North Carolina?
Oh yeah. So So the dates here. So basically, the idea that these colonies that are set up, the main purpose of them is to produce something, usually like what we call like a natural resource, like growing a crop or some raw material, timber, like cutting down trees, right? Producing wood, producing fishing, and producing some sort of raw material, raw good that's shipped back to England. England has because they're English colonies. England's going to pass a series of laws starting in, I believe, 1650, called Navigation Acts, which basically control trade, right? They regulate trade. These 13 colonies, the 13 colonies that become the United States, are going to have really, as far as what happens within the colony, like laws that are passed, it's going to be run by the colonists themselves for the most part. They have their own like legislative system. And there are like royal governors appointed, but it's basically like they run their own operation inside of the colony. But once they start, importing, exporting stuff, England has a monopoly on that. There are laws passed because the whole, to ensure that any raw material that is produced by Virginia, tobacco, by Jamaica, sugar, right? South Carolina is going to produce rice. That England has access to that, like almost exclusive access to it. And there's people that violate the rules. There's smugglers and stuff, but and then any goods produced in England, right? Finished goods, because like they're starting to develop not like a factory industrial system that we think of, but early like manufactured goods. They have a market now. They have a market to sell those to, right? All these people are going to start populating these colonies, and so whatever they produce, we have access to. Whatever we produce, they're going to buy. And we pass laws to make it illegal for them basically to goods. With this, England actually passes these laws called Navigation Acts. And they pass them starting in 1650 all the way up till the Revolution, right, to regulate trade. When you hear about the Boston Tea Party, that had to do with this issue of trade. It had to do specifically about tea. Like the idea. So Adam Smith is the person who describes this system, who finds a term for it. It's called the mercantile system. He calls it the mercantile system, but it's actually mercantilism, is what we know it as today. But he was not a supporter of it. He wrote this thing called Wealth of Nations in 1776, around when the revolution is actually there's fighting already started between the colonists and England, but the Declaration of Independence has not been written yet. But he's describing the system in order to criticize it, basically calling for what we call free markets. Capitalism. Basically, the idea that the free market, is self-regulating, and that there shouldn't be any restrictions by government on trade. That it's going to, the idea of people coming together to exchange goods is some sort of a self-regulatory, right? Which is, people agree, some people still believe in this. A lot of people disagree with it.